Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. I have no puzzles for you, but hopefully some information. And we're going to spend just a couple of minutes up front talking about, well, obviously talking about how cloud can drive better creative. But I want to highlight a couple of key areas that we're going to focus on. What we're seeing now is, well, actually, first of all, how many of you are familiar with cloud technology? Just so I have a, okay, about half of you. So just a sense. So cloud within Google, we have a Google Cloud Platform, and that's where many of our customers and our own company, we put all of our data. And we use that data to drive analytics, to do machine learning, artificial intelligence, and increasingly, we're being able to use cloud for marketing purposes. And so that's what we're going to spend time talking about today. And talk about it in a couple of areas. It's about how do you make your marketing and your advertising more relevant, make it more contextual. We'll go in at the end, share a little bit about some real-time data that we're using in advertising, and talk about making things relevant and contextual in live sports. And we also have an opportunity to learn more about how to make better decisions, how to optimize marketing better using cloud technology. And to go into more detail on that, I'd like to invite Menno to the stage, here from IPG. We'll first have a quick chat so you can learn a little bit more about him, and then he's going to go into a couple of demos and some work that they've been doing at IPG and for themselves and with their clients. So first of all, Menno, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your role and how did you get into this hybrid technology, advertising, marketing role?
Well, I think I'm from school. I'm a psychologist, so I'm not really a mathematician or a beta guy, so more alpha guy probably. Although I did some startups, Sponsorware, FirstTry.com, some small startups, and I built some websites in the beginning of my career. So I know a bit about HTML and some coding, and to be honest, Python and those languages are kind of familiar, so it's not that difficult probably to grasp. And then I worked at advertising agencies and at Schiphol Airport. I did the narrowcasting screens, so the digital transformation from, you know, those old screens on airports with the flippers. And we all, threw them away. And we replaced it for digital screens, of course, which is also very much not just thinking about advertising, but about information, relevant information, and, you know, not just the commercial stuff. Yeah. And I think many advertisers should do that as well. So that's a nice link to today, I think. Yeah. So what will be the role for technology in creating more meaningful connections than just sending advertising messages all the time?
So what is your role within IPG? How do you bring that to life for you and for your clients?
Yeah, so first of all, we have a team with analysts, econometricians, and developers together to try to predict future effectiveness of advertising. Right. Which is what we all want to know, right? So you have a budget and you have a target, and then you want to know, will I make it, yes or no, and what do I have to do in order to get to that result? So that's the main task I have now, and I try to democratize all the technology and all the nerdy stuff, and what only some people understand, to a broader audience within our agency, and also to our clients. So what we do in day-to-day life is having hackathons with our clients together to create those meaningful connections and to create their own channels, because depending on just the advertising channels is not enough today anymore. So you have to create your own apps and stuff and functionality. Yeah.
So I thought it would be great if you could share some of the work that you're doing and talk about why you did it and what role it's been playing. So I'll turn it over to you and go from here.
So for at home, you can do what I'm going to do yourself, using these two URLs. So the top one is AdVision. It's an award-winning project we did to calculate and predict CTR based on creative elements from ads. So let's go to the demo to have a look at this site. So let's pretend you have a BMW client. You created a BMW ad, so it's in the category automotive. And the size of the ad is this. And then at the bottom, you already see it calculating. Maybe I have to take a step back how we got this data. So we used the Vision API from Google to get all the creative elements from thousands of ads. So you get back, you know, is there a car in it? What's the dominant color? Is there a logo in it? Yes or no? What's the logo position? Is there a lot of text in? Is there face? What's the how does the face look like? You know, is it smiling or is it worried or whatever? Is there an Eiffel Tower in there or another object? So there's a lot of data there, and we matched it with all the CTR data that we have from those same ads, and that gives us a nice data set to model and predict the effectiveness. And we built this small tool just to play around. It's a beta version 1. To give you an idea and to play around with, okay, how can I get this CTR up? So do I have to create a vertical one? Nothing happens. Or horizontal? Is blue as a dominant color performing better than black? No, it doesn't. So if I add a face to the ad, does it work? Or some food? No. Probably a car, right? And maybe some cultural thing? No. Like an Eiffel Tower. And what's the best call to action to use? Is that just click here, for instance, or download the BMW app or the car configurator app, or win a BMW i3 or i8? Yes, that's the best probably, right? And do we have to show a logo? And what's the best position of this logo? So here it's just an example of how you can use the Vision API to do something really difficult that normally takes hundreds of students probably to tag all the creative elements in 10,000 ads. That's been done by the machine, right? So you can do all kinds of new analysis and smart stuff. Now we have the Video Intelligence API as well, so it's not just working with stills. So this is an example of a dashboard we built. It's the second URL that you've seen. And here you see the BMW, the next 100 years. And here you see already the amount of shots. The Video Intelligence API gives that right away. And then at the right, in green, you see all the labels being associated in the video. So let's have a look here. So it recognized not just automotive, obviously, but also and BMW car, but also the M3, right? So it has the model right, so it's extremely powerful. But sometimes it makes funny mistakes as well. I think you've seen that here in this shot. It says animal. And probably, okay, it makes sense. Could be camels, right? But it's cars, and it's a rare image probably for the machine. So it needs some more learning still. So in our next project, we're gonna do the same like with ad vision, but then we call it video vision. So we correlate this with view-through rates and completion rates. So we know, okay, what type of labels, what type of subjects, what type of content do you need to show, in what order, etc., to keep people interested and completing the video, watching the full video. So these are just a few examples, Alison.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to talk about, how long did it take you to build these?
At Vision, we built, I think, in 4 months, like that.
Okay, and so tell me a little bit about the team. So if some people here want to start cataloging and analyzing all of your videos or your photos, like who did it take to make this all come to life?
Yeah, so of course you need all the videos coming from DBM, including the view-through rates. To be honest, it's sad that it's just quartile data, so you don't have the view-through rates per second. Yeah, that's a bummer. But anyway, so you have less data points to model. Right. But still, I mean, it's good enough. But I think you need at least 1,000 videos to run a solid model and to be able to predict view-through rates.
Yeah, so I mean, so if you're at an agency and working with a client and they have a whole catalog of videos or a whole bunch of photos, it's not that many, 1,000, sets of footage, and that's how you can catalog this all. So then, if you said, things that are performing best are videos that have sunshine in them, then rather than having some poor intern go spend their summer looking for all the videos with sunshine, you could actually run it through a model and you can find those. And so we've been seeing lots of our customers really start optimizing, and things like click-through rates is really just the beginning.
Yeah, and the next version will be probably an ad vision where you can upload, we were building that right now, so you can upload 4 visuals, for instance, and then it gives you the best performing on CTR and engagement rate, for instance, and then recommendations of what you should do, like putting the logo left, or adding another color or an animal or whatever in it. Then you could move baby steps, but still moving forward.
Yeah, and then going forward, what we're seeing is some of our customers not just taking this advertising data, but then combining it with other sets of data, because right now, for most marketers, data are all different silos, and being able to bring those all together with Salesforce data, for example, if you're working with a B2B company. And so that's really one of the ways that we're seeing marketers really start using cloud in different ways to make better decisions.
Yeah, we're adding eye tracking data to this, because the way eyes move is very predictable. So if you have done 20 or 15,000 eye tracking studies, you can make a solid model, 95% accuracy on how eyes move. So those models are already in the market, so you can do this, for instance, and then also layer over the eye movements, so and match that with, okay, what's in the screen, what's in there, and where are the eyeballs at that moment.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you very much. And so we're going to then transition a little bit and talk about how we're using cloud to create real-time creative. And so I'm going to click back over to the slides here, because what we're seeing now, and I think increasingly at Cannes, is we'll see the creation of advertising that feels part of the entertainment. And so we've just started doing this a little bit at Google. We ran a campaign this spring, for those of you from America who watch basketball, the NCAA tournament, the March Madness tournament. It's a huge deal, lots of media impressions. And we put together a partnership with the NCAA where we loaded 80 years worth of data together into Google Cloud Platform. And then our technologists analyzed that data to create predictive models. And then we used those predictive models to actually create live TV spots at halftime based on what happened at the first half of the game to then show right at the beginning of the second half. And the ads were delightful because they were real time, they were predictive, and people were kind of watching them to see if we were accurate. So I'm going to show you a little bit about this campaign. We'll run a video. Yeah, so last night we had awarded a Silver Lion and category in digital craft. And then tonight we're shortlisted for award around using real-time data. And so I can talk a little bit about how this all came to be. So we worked with an agency in San Francisco, 11, and teamed up with them to work with our technologists, with some people internally with Google and with 11 to kind of take this creative vision and then create these ads real time in 20 minutes in kind of San Antonio, where the stadium was going, where the game was being played. So everybody, I think there might have been a little bit of footage in there, everybody effectively in a media truck building an ad together. And we were saying that in the future we might not even need to be there in premise. It was kind of fun to be live where the games were. But what I would expect going forward is now you can analyze, using cloud, you can create these machine learning models to analyze data so quickly that in all kinds of different types of live events, live sports, live entertainment, Oscars, whatever it would be, where we're seeing lots of great TV ads, to be able to create really highly contextual ads. And so we use some data models, some regression analysis. So this is something that we really partnered with an agency on. So for those of you working in agencies, it can partner with your clients and bringing in some technical talent to help build this all together. And we can talk through the case study if anybody's interested in learning about how to do this kind of real-time data modeling in advertising. So that was a particularly fun campaign. And so I'm going to wrap now. If you have any questions for us, we'll both be here. We can take any live questions now, or we'll just kind of hang out. Does anybody have any questions now for other of us while we're here? Yes?
So on the software you were showing, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, if you have 3 agencies doing 3 car brands at the same time, and then software kind of like helping you position the logo.
No.
So having the software position the logo helping with the color, helping with sort of like close-up, animal, Eiffel Tower, whatever. Can you end up with having like 3 similar looking videos for 3 different brands using your software?
In theory, that's possible.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But
honest
it's
answer.
trained on,
But it's very unlikely.
it's very unlikely for multiple reasons because it's trained on data specific to a customer. We're not. So we have big data sets that are trained on what is a car, but then you would then apply your own client's data against those models. So it will be differentiated because the kind of the core model will then get that has trains on massive amounts of information could then gets connected to your own if you're an advertiser to your own specifics.
All right. So your own data kind of like differentiate the way that the output
Correct.
is made.
Yeah, and when the data is only shared, so we've gotten these massive training sets of data, which were shared with us, public data sets, but your own customer data will not get shared with other customer data unless you wanted it to and you wanted to contribute to the kind of the data sets overall.
Thank you.
So, time for one more question, and then we'll stay here and be able to.
Thank you. You are able to, how can I say, identify fake profiles. They are kind of robots. They are sharing content, but they are not real persons. How you work with that?
So explain the question again. I missed the first part.
For example, you collect all the data, and sometimes we don't have a real data. It's just fake profiles, you know? When people are sharing, but not people. It's a kind of robot.
Oh. So part of our role is to create models that can detect what's fake and what's not fake. I mean, so the similar kind of technology that we use to filter out, if you use Gmail, you probably get very little spam. We use technology to filter out what's real and what's spam and what's a phishing email. That similar kind of technology is what we're now creating for the advertising industry and the marketing industry in similar ways to filter out what good versus bad. And so, in fact, it probably does a much better job because you can train it over time than a human would be able to know what's fake and what's real.
Yeah, but it's a good question because CTR, that's why CTR is not my favorite KPI. But so you have to, but we have viewability and all kinds of other metrics, of course, to optimize on, which are probably better proxies for interest or what you like to achieve with advertising.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you all very much. Thank you,
Thanks.
Manuel, for being part of this.
Thank you.